episode 23 of the Metal Roundtable. Thank you for joining us. We're coming near to 25 episodes, brother.
Yeah, we're going to have a...
How about that?
Big time anniversary special.
That's right. Maybe we can get the captain and Tennille on.
Hey, except the captain's not with us anymore.
Oh, so
Ouch.
Tennille. Yikes.
Yeah, you might have to fill in.
Yeah.
You look better in a hat anyway.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, kids, back with episode 23. We want to give a huge shout out to the family and friends of Bruce Corbett, who has recently passed. We want to let you know a couple of dates coming up. You'll see our rigor mortis tribute right there. It is in the background. So, Gina, this goes out to you. This goes out to the former bandmates of Bruce, all the friends and family. Two things to let you know about. At Trees in Deep Ellum in Dallas, Texas on February 16th, there is going to be a fundraiser event with the Hellions, Speed Dealer.
Rabid Flesh Eaters.
Yep.
Chemicost.
Yep.
And...
I know I'm on the spot. I'm losing it here, but there's going to be a bunch of great local Dallas talent there. I'm stoked to see the Hellions again. It's been a long time. I've never seen Speed Dealer, so that's cool. Rabid Flesh Eaters just got that vinyl and CD. That'll be fun.
They've got new songs, new album on the way.
So if you can support that, there are a couple things we want to tell you about. February 16th at Trees, please, if you're in Dallas or around Dallas, please come out and support Bruce and Gina. There's going to be so much medical expense that Gina's going to be dealing with, and we would love it if you supported them. And you saw Bruce talking about that in our last episode a few days before he passed. And I know that it would have meant a lot to him, and it certainly will mean a lot to Gina and his family if you can help out. February 16th at Trees, a bunch of killer bands. Come down and kick some ass. You know damn well that he'll be looking down on all of us and smiling. And then his public memorial is going to be at the Ridgely Theater in Fort Worth on March 1st. I don't know a ton of details about that yet, but you can find it all over, man. It's on the Rigor Mortis page. It's all over Facebook and the internet. You can find out all the details on that. So.
And by the way, I'm not Gene Hoagland. I'm Carcass John, and this is...
Oh, yes. I'm Metal Rob.
For those who don't know.
We're professionals.
Those are just chiming in for the first time on episode 23.
Yes.
A very important episode.
You're not Gene Hoagland.
No.
Remember when
I wish I were, Gene. I need a lesson.
I interviewed Gene and I didn't introduce him? That was awesome.
Yeah, well, I just, an ode to that. Yeah, Gene, I need a drum lesson. Immediately.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Air drums. That was his big.
That was his big thing. Play air drums, and it'll help you play real drums. Yeah.
Well, with respect to the man himself, we're going to talk about one of his favorite bands today. We're going to go through and talk about Iron Maiden. I'm pretty excited about this, and so I'll start with telling you what got me into Maiden. I remember hearing on metal radio back in the day. I remember hearing, Number of the Beast and Run of the Hills and stuff like that. So I knew of Iron Maiden. I knew of the first two albums. I hadn't gotten into them, so I didn't know the self-titled album very much. I didn't know Killers very well. I knew a little bit about Number of the Beast. But the one that really changed the game for me was Peace of Mind, because I saw the video for Flight of Icarus, and I nearly lost it. And then they started playing The Trooper on the radio. And so that, to me, that is my favorite Iron Maiden album. I'm not trying to convince all you guys that it's their best. I think it's their best. It's certainly my favorite. But in my opinion, their big three records are Killers, Peace of Mind, or Killers, Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind. What say you, Marcus?
Well, I got in kind of on the same leg, Peace of Mind. I really dig that record. My father being having a degree in history and he had an emphasis on war strategies, the whole idea of war and fighter planes and all that stuff was kind of cool, kind of a cool concept in the band. But For me, Iron Maiden's kind of like the tale of two bands. They're kind of like the heavy metal version of Van Halen. You know, David Lee Roth leaves, they reinvent themselves with Sammy Hagar and have just equal success. You know, Paul Di'Anno was the first singer. They had wild success with it, and then he's gone, and then Bruce Dickinson steps in, and bam, we have a whole new band, but they have the same type of success. They didn't lose any momentum, and we've talked about changing singers and who's the best front man and that type of thing. But for me, I really dig Peace of Mind. I really, really love Power Slave. That's probably my favorite Iron Maiden record. It's epic. It's intricate. Tells a story. You know, the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner is one of my favorite songs because you can just feel like you're out on that abandoned ship out in the middle of the ocean somewhere. You hear the ocean and the seagulls cawing in the background. So for me, I'm kind of a middle of the road guy. Although I've gone back to the first two albums with Di'Anno, and I really like them. They almost have do I dare say they almost have sort of a bluesy, jazzy feel almost. Some of the songs.
There's a little more. There's a lot more of a punk rock element.
Yeah,
especially that first record.
And I think that's kind of reminiscent of those bands of that era. They were trying to figure out how do we transition into playing faster and heavier, but the only people that were doing that were punks and the jazz guys. So they were kind of like the Scorpions' Lonesome Crow. That's a full-blown jazz fusion record that helped them transition to the next level of speedy rock, so to speak. So anyway, so I love Peace of Mind. I love Power Slave is probably it for me. I'm one of those weird dudes that actually likes Somewhere in Time and
I love Seventh
Son of a Seventh Son. I do like that. What's the one with the he's out on the, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank because my mind is swimming. I'm still thinking about the Bruce Corbett thing.
I got you, buddy. Keep talking.
The Fear of the Dark.
Yes, yeah, on the tree.
Yeah, I really dig that thing too.
Yeah.
And so I honestly, I mean, I'll just put it out there. I don't really think they put out a terrible record. I don't think they put out a Load or a Reload or a Risk a la Megadeth. But some of their records aren't as good as others. I mean, I'm even going to give Blaze Bayley some credit. I think the records that he sung on were great, kind of like Ripper and Priest. So
I like. I think the first two albums were brilliant, perfect Iron Maiden.
And they stand
albums.
alone.
They do stand alone. When Bruce came into the band, that changed the game, in my opinion. And I don't think they slowed down with momentum. I mean, good grief, the tour, the Live After Death tour, holy cow, man, that was the biggest thing I'd ever seen. I did not see the tour, but seeing the video, because back in the day, kids, you bought a VHS tape. I'd show you one if there were one right here. You don't know what they are, but trust us old guys. You'd go to the music store, you'd buy a VHS tape, and you'd watch a concert if you were too far away from the venues like I was. But anyway, I couldn't believe how massive that was. I followed them hardcore through Power Slave. I remember buying Power Slave when it came out on vinyl. I remember buying Somewhere in Time. I think I bought that on tape. And then after that was Seventh Son, right? Yeah. And I thought that one was good. It didn't blow me away. And then Fear of the Dark was okay. And then after that, they started kind of doing a little bit of a roller coaster for me. I felt like there were a lot of albums where I really liked two or three songs. Like Final Frontier, which is way later, there's like 3 songs that I just love, and the rest is okay. And some of the records around that time, Matter of Life and Death, I thought there were 2 or 3 really good songs. Reincarnation of Benjamin Bree, great song. Yeah. But I thought the album was okay. Saw them on that tour. They did a great job on the tour. The thing is about Maiden is the live show. And they've got such a monster catalog to choose from that it doesn't matter if you like all the albums because there are great songs on all the albums.
And that's what you're going to do after you see them live. You're going to go out and buy all their albums because you want those songs because you just heard them played live.
Right. We got to remember to talk about Blaze again, too. Keep going.
Okay.
You're doing
but let's see. I'm trying to think. When I saw them, they had Motorhead was on there. It seemed like Dio, Motorhead, and Black Label. I remember seeing them at the Woodlands and just, kind of an outdoor venue, just the majestic nature of it all, and the different eddies that were coming out, and the backdrops of civil strife and medieval fighting, and it was just epic. And that's the thing with Iron Maiden. You're never going to get like a pub show, where you're down at the Ridgely Room. Nothing against the Ridgely Room. I like small venues. But I mean, you're never going to see.
But Iron Maiden can't. You can't.
No, you couldn't do that to them.
Couldn't do that.
That's why I'm a little shocked that once again Judas Priest is playing a barn that holds about 4,000 people when we saw him at a place that held nearly 10,000 people and it was packed.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's for a different day. But the thing about Maiden is I think that they get, bands get so popular that there's a little added pressure to get something out. And people's interest is waning. We can talk about that for another day and time. Is it advantageous to release 2 or 3 songs every 3 months and keep an interest over the course of the year, or do you just release one big epic 12-song record?
Give me the albums.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
But some people are different, and some people think differently. But I think that not unlike some bands, back in the 70s, Sabbath was putting out 2 albums a year, one in February and one in October.
Kiss too.
So, and Kiss the same way. So, if a band goes longer than 2 or 3 years without putting out a record, then it's not that unusual.
Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses. Sorry.
Boston.
Well, so let's revisit the Blaze thing for a minute. I remember when Bruce left the band thinking, oh man, this is not going to go well, because to me, Bruce was the voice of Maiden. Because I hadn't gone back and really fallen in love with those first 2 albums. I just didn't care for them when I heard them, so I didn't spend a lot of time with them. Obviously, they've grown on me, and I love them as classic Maiden records now. But when Blaze came into the band, I heard it, and I immediately dismissed it. And what I've done recently... Are we missing the cat?
No, I heard a buzzing sound.
Oh.
Production value.
Yeah, production value. We can't find the cat. When the Blaze records came out, I panned them both. I didn't even pay attention. What I've done recently is I've gone back and listened to, I can't even think of the names of them now. The first one I liked quite a bit. I think the music is great. I think the vocals hold it back a little bit. And then the second one, Virtual X, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I couldn't get into it. So much like Priest, I don't want to get too far off track with this, but I was so glad when Bruce came back. I was very glad. It solidified the band for me again. And he had a fantastic solo career, much like Rob Halford did.
Right.
The Halford stuff is brilliant. The Bruce Dickinson solo stuff was brilliant. There were some albums that were a little lighter than Maiden. But man, a lot of that stuff was heavier than Maiden.
Right.
Roy Z and those guys on guitar.
Not unlike Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, I thought that how can Sabbath survive without Ozzy, and then how can Ozzy survive without Sabbath? Well, they both did.
Right.
I think maybe Ozzy more so than Sabbath. Some of the Sabbath stuff was kind of weird without Dio, but that's for another day too. But man, once again, we've talked about what is the band. The entity is Iron Maiden, kind of like Kiss. Say what you want, Ace, Peter, whatever. I don't care. Kiss is Kiss. That's what. That's the product they're putting out there.
That's right.
Yeah, Saxon, same way. I mean, they're not. How many actual members of Saxon or even Priest, or we can go on and on and on.
Yeah,
the product is the moniker. So with Maiden. They didn't lose a step, and I think mainly because Steve Harris wasn't going to allow them to lose a step. Of course,
yeah, they worked hard. They never slowed down.
And he was the integrity of the band and an integral part of the songwriting. So as long as the songwriting is consistent and it stays kind of on a similar feel, then you can plug in whomever you need to make it work. And now I think they have an overabundance of musicians on stage. I don't know that they need a third guitarist. But it's kind of cool because guess what? The stage is so gigantic that if you only had 5 guys running around, it would look kind of weird.
Well, and you can do the twin solos still with rhythm guitar going on, and that's pretty cool. But with the Blaze era, I felt like the Blaze era was a weaker replacement singer era than what Priest had, because Ripper brought it and
every
could
night.
sing
Yeah.
like crazy. He could sing as well as Rob, in my opinion. I said it. I mean it. The guy just crushed it
I
on
agree.
those songs. So I felt like Iron Maiden's other singer era was a little weaker than Priest. But you mentioned marketing a minute ago and what makes the band. And we've talked a little bit about this in the past, but one of the things I want to touch on is, as far as marketing in metal and hard rock, behind Kiss, who's next? Maiden.
Probably Iron Maiden.
It's got to be Iron Maiden. And the thing that I wonder is, and I'll be interested to hear what you think, is Kiss is so oversaturated. I'm looking at a Kiss stage right here in figures and posters and air guitar strings, for Christ's sake. Tattoos and diapers. And I mean, and it gets so saturated that you can't possibly keep up. The thing with Maiden is, I still feel like the brand is really pure and really collectible and really, you don't have Iron Maiden underwear.
No, you actually do. But anyway, just not available in the United States. But no, I hear you talking, and I think the bands that do that, kind of like Megadeth has Vic Rattlehead, and we have Eddie, and Motorhead had the War Pig.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when I first started working, speaking of Bruce, and man, my heart goes out once again, like Rob said, my heart goes out to the family and the friends. And it was heart wrenching every time I watched that video of him. It's really heart wrenching, and the whole aftermath. But when Warbeast started, part of Bruce Corbett's idea was to create this entity, this monster, this logo.
Mm-hmm.
And so since we had players coming from Gamma Side and Rigor Mortis and Hammer Witch and Demon Seed and all these entities together, we came up with this creature called Gamortis, and it became it. We actually watched it kind of growing right before our eyes, and people immediately related to that, like they relate to Eddie. Mm-hmm. They saw Gamortis on the cover of the first album, and they were attracted to it. There's a mascot, like a team. They're attacked. If you're a Vikings fan, you have a Viking. If you're a Rams fan, or whatever. So the idea was the same. Kind of like Maiden, to market that,
right?
That that entity became each one of us. We became Eddie, because we could wear the mask or wear the underwear or whatever. And so that was the cool thing about Warbeast, is that each album, I developed the creature into a more of the next album he was kind of a gargantua, a beast or whatever. And then the third, by the time Enter the Arena came around, he was an actual. You could see him. His physique starting to take shape. He was actually humanizing himself, and by the way, there will be a future Warbeast release that's going to be really, really cool. It'll have the audio of their first show ever as Warbeast, recorded by the mighty James McWilliams, and mixed and mastered by Kerry Crafton, and 2 unreleased tracks. And then it'll have the DVD of their last show at the Ridgely Theater. It's going to be spectacular. So
that's cool.
Anyway, but to that point, now that I'm developing that last final piece of the puzzle, of the Warbeast puzzle, we're still maintaining this idea, like Maiden, of the Eddie type character. So Gamortis, I basically took the original Gamortis character and the last Gamortis character, and I shoved them together, and we created this last entity.
Well, it makes it interesting because Eddie decomposes and changes, and he's a space monster, and he's an Egyptian king or whatever, and he's all these different things, and that was what kept it in. There were 2 things. Kiss has the makeup, the faces, the makeup, the logo. That's what you see. Well, I argue that Iron Maiden's logo is every bit as iconic, because when I see that logo, it's instantaneously recognizable. And Eddie.
Right. If you see Eddie...
Good on them for marketing Eddie, because in it, and even if it was a new Iron Maiden product or album, it's Eddie, even if you've never seen the image before. Oh, that's the new Eddie creature. you'll know.
And not like, and I don't want to drag a pop music into this, but Prince, actually did an album where he just put a symbol of himself, but you knew that was him.
Right.
You knew that was a Prince record, and it didn't say Prince. It didn't say
because
you'd
seen the logo.
And much like Iron Maiden, if they post a picture of Eddie, you automatically know that's Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And if it comes out to be Prince, then you think there's something really wrong with this picture. So, to your point, the idea of marketing an evolving character that people can kind of relate to. Power Slave had the Egyptian theme, and Eddie was part of the Sphinx that was on the cover, and the space guy and the decomposing, the Fear of the Dark. Kind of he sort of took on kind of a goblin-like tree creature. So that's to me, the world is so saturated with music that if you have the one thing that makes you recognizable, then you're that many layers ahead of the game. And Eddie is certainly the
artwork has always been top notch. They've never fallen down on artwork, in my opinion. It doesn't matter which album you're talking about. The artwork is just fantastic. Derek Riggs, that was a match made in heaven with those guys, between the logo, the Eddie artwork, and all the posters and the T-shirts and everything was just perfectly marketed. And man, you just don't catch that lightning in a bottle very many times, and they did it. So did Kiss, Priest to some extent, but with the Metallian and all that kind of thing. But man, Iron Maiden just crushed it in the art department, and the tours get bigger. And when you go see them, even now at their age, you get 110% from everybody in the band, and you still get what I missed from the 80s, a massive stage show.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got an airplane on stage, for crying out loud, this time.
Yeah, and the thing is you don't realize that those guys are in their 60s, pushing 70, and because they still have energy, they still have fire, they still have...
Yeah.
That they are just kings of their craft, and that's what's exciting about Iron Maiden, even if it is their another final tour, not unlike Kiss. Didn't we?
Yeah.
Haven't we heard about their final tour for the last 20 years?
Yeah, I wonder how much longer Maiden will go. I don't think that when they started talking about the legacy of the Beast, that made me nervous. I thought, man, is this it? Is this it? But I think they're going to keep going for a while. It'll be interesting to see the end someday when it does come, and it'll be interesting to see the final incarnation of Eddie, and if any of the guys keep doing, because Nico talks about it's tough touring at his age and playing drums like that. I mean, that's not playing drums for Warrant. I mean, the drummer in Iron Maiden is a lot is required of him, and I don't know what the end is going to hold in next year, in a few years, or whatever. But I will be excited to see how they continue to reveal themselves and reveal Eddie in the stage shows and the records, and I'll keep buying them, and I love them. Now, I'll be interested to know what you guys think as far as the saturation versus Kiss, Maiden, selling your brand, because they've both done it. I mean, Iron Maiden flies on their own jet. They've made
piloted
the money.
by their lead singer.
Yeah, they've made the money. They've been successful. They've been to the mountaintop, man. But why, if it's oversaturation with Kiss, just for an example, why? And why not Iron Maiden? What is the difference in your mind? If Gene has oversold Kiss, why hasn't Steve oversold Maiden? I'd love to hear your thoughts and what you think on all of that, because there's a million products, just like with Kiss. Not as much, but there's still a ton of stuff out there with Iron Maiden's logo stamped on it. And if you're cool with that versus Kiss, why? I'm interested to know that argument.
The thing about it is I think that stuff is so cool because it's so well done that it doesn't matter if you bought something from them before. You want something from them again because it's that great. And we probably have an entire episode on the effect of success or money on the band itself. I mean, if you want to get right down to it, Maiden, for all their success and the monies that they've made, and I'm guessing that they're all fairly well off.
Yeah.
They still bring it with both barrels, and they're not taking 2 weeks off here to go shopping at Rodeo Drive like some other bands that I won't mention. but anyway, but they still maintain the integrity of their music,
Right.
and they're not trying to backtrack and oh gosh, maybe this next Iron Maiden will be like the Iron Maiden of old. They just put out an Iron Maiden record,
They just do what
and it's
they
Iron
do.
Maiden.
Right.
You know it right off the bat.
They just do what they do, and they
So-
continue doing it. And they haven't lost any integrity in my mind. It doesn't matter what singer they have or had or who's in the band. I just feel like they've maintained the integrity, and maybe that's what keeps the brand strong.
Yeah.
You know?
They are Iron Maiden. Whoever's in the band doesn't really it does matter, but in the long run, it really doesn't.
As long as Steve is in the band, it's
There-
going to be Iron Maiden.
I agree, and I was worried about this episode, by the way, because honestly, I don't live and breathe Iron Maiden like some people do. I mean, our friend Dennis Vigil, I mean, that dude lives and breathes Iron Maiden. He's got enough Iron Maiden to tile this entire floor and down the stairs and into the kitchen. But I do respect their success, and I love their music, and I love their show. And so, what's not to like about them? And I would say that some bands aren't for everybody, but I think that if you were a true metalhead and you said, I hate Iron Maiden, then you're not a true metalhead.
Yeah, I agree.
I said it.
Iron Maiden is a metal band, and through. And if you're into heavy metal, you need to get Number of the Beast. You need to get Peace of Mind. You need to get Killers in your collection. And
Power Slave.
You need to digest and absorb those into your heavy metal bloodstream. And if you want to see some of the best musical documentary DVDs ever, get the history of Iron Maiden, the early years, and then it goes into the Live After Death DVD, which has some more history on it. But man, that first one is amazing with Dennis Stratton and all the early guys that were in the band.
Clive Burr.
They did a good job of keeping everything. But man, if you're looking for a great Maiden documentary, there is nothing finer than those DVDs that those guys put out. The early years. Check it out. I think that wraps us up right now with Iron Maiden.
I got nothing more to say about that.
Don't forget, Trees, February 16th, Deep Ellum, Dallas, for the benefit concert for Gina Corbett to help with expenses for all of Bruce's, medical procedures and everything.
I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Even if you have great insurance,
it's still the
battle with cancer is so expensive, and
it's overwhelming.
And the fact now that the battle is over, now the war begins with finances, and so anything we can do to help them out.
And what a sweetheart angel of a lady.
And she deserves a medal.
Oh my gosh!
If there was some sort of a Medal of Honor we could give her, some medal of honor.
Yeah. She deserves
all of them for the for the duration.
Help with what you can. It's on the Rigor Mortis site. You can find the fundraiser link if you can't make it to Dallas for the show. Come out to one of the shows. Come to the memorial and pay tribute to a true metal legend. And we all know that legends never die. And with that, we all also know that metal will prevail. We'll see you guys next time.